and she was certain she had done the right thing in leaving Palermo, leaving Nico, and ending the affair. She switched on the light, looked automatically across the room at the sofa, where the military precision of the cushions assured her that her cleaning lady had been there in her absence. She brought her suitcase inside, closed the door, and let the silence drift into her. Home. Anna Maria moved through the apartment, opening all the windows. On the dining-room table she found a piece of paper with one of Luba's curiously worded notes, and beside it the distinctive buff notice that indicated the attempted delivery of a registered letter. "For you came," the note read. She studied the receipt. It had been left 4 days before. She had no idea who could have sent her a registered letter. The second notice, she knew, would have come 2 days after this one. Its absence meant that Signora Altavilla, who over the years had become the custodian of her post and deliveries, had signed for the letter and had it downstairs. Curiosity overcame her. She went to her study. From memory, she dialed Signora Altavilla's number. The phone rang 4 times without being picked up. She hung up the phone and returned to the living room. Even though separated in age by almost 2 generations, she and the woman downstairs had become good neighbours. And because Signora Altavilla went to the mountains with her son and his family each July, Anna Maria had her keys in order to water the plants. There was a clear understanding that Anna Maria could go in to get her post whenever she returned from a trip, and Signora Altavilla was not at home. She took the keys from the second drawer in the kitchen and went down the stairs. Though she was certain no one was home, Anna Maria rang the bell. When there was no answer, she put the key in the lock, but it wouldn't turn. She tried again, pulling the door towards her as she turned the key. The pressure of her hand moved the handle down, and the recalcitrant door proved to be unlocked and opened. Her first thought was to try to recall Costanza's age. Why was she forgetting to lock her door? Why had she never changed it and got una porta blindata that locked automatically when it closed? "Costanza!" she called. "Ci sei?" There was no answering call. Anna Maria approached the table opposite the doorway, drawn by the small pile of letters. It struck her that the light in the hallway was on, and that more light was coming down the corridor from the half-open door to the living room, as well as from the open door of the larger bedroom. "Costanza!" She set the keys on top of the letters and took a step to look around the half-open door. "Costanza," she began, but slapped her mouth closed with one of her hands when she saw another hand on the floor, and then the arm, and the shoulder, and then the back of the head, and the short white hair. Guido Brunetti, Commissario di Polizia of the city of Venice, sat at dinner across from his immediate superior, Vicequestore Giuseppe Patta, and prayed for the end of the world. He would have settled for being abducted by aliens, or perhaps for the violent eruption of bearded terrorists shooting their way into the restaurant. The resulting chaos would have permitted Brunetti, who was, as usual, not wearing his own gun, to wrest one from a passing terrorist and use it to shoot both the Vicequestore and his assistant, Lieutenant Scarpa, who was at this very moment passing his measured, negative judgment on the grappa that had been offered at the end of the meal. "You people in the north," the lieutenant said with a condescending nod in Brunetti's direction, "don't understand what it is to make wine, so why should you know about making anything else?" He drank the rest of his grappa, made a small mew of distaste, and set his glass on the table. He gave Brunetti an open-faced glance, as if inviting him to make a contribution to enological frankness, but Brunetti refused to play, and contented himself with finishing his own grappa. The lieutenant began, "I don't understand why Friuli wines are, But Brunetti's attention was called away from whatever deficiency the lieutenant was about to reveal by the sound of his telefonino. Whenever he was forced into social occasions he couldn't avoid, as with Patta's invitation to dinner to discuss candidates for promotion, Brunetti was careful to carry his telefonino, and was often saved by a generous Paola, calling with an invented urgent reason for him to leave immediately. "Si," he answered, disappointed at having seen it was the central number of the Questura.